All right. Well, hey, Coaches Out for Change, our leadership team, executive directors and above. So happy to have you guys with us. It's our first evening call I don't think we've ever had this call at night. We've been having it in the afternoons for probably about 2 years. And when our leadership team met last week, we were really listening to feedback we're getting, et cetera, and wanted to just pilot having this in the evenings for a while, with the intention being that we want to accommodate as many people's schedules as we can. We want to optimize your time so you're not getting on calls multiple times per day or multiple nights per week, and also even shorten the duration of it. So going forward, what you can expect is that this leadership call will be the first Monday of every month. It'll immediately follow team time. In most situations, unless we have something like tonight, it would immediately follow team time. So it would just roll right to it, and then be able to optimize our time together. So thanks for being flexible, adaptable. You know, Dr. A, Helen Irwin always said the person with the most flexibility is the person with the greatest chance of success. So just appreciate all of you guys. And it's good to see a few faces on here that can't make it sometimes to the afternoon meetings. So welcome. And so, Meg, I don't know if you want to share anything more about that. Jim Quick, the thing that just a reminder that is open to everybody. That looked fascinating.
Yes. So coming up next Thursday, if you didn't see, there is a call available for clients, non-clients, friends, whoever, Jim Quick, and we'll post the picture, but he is known as the boy with the broken brain. He had a brain injury as a child and he's Oprah Winfrey's personal coach, if that tells you anything. Like, he is incredible. And he so happens to be best friends with JC Dornick. They grew up together. So he's doing a call just for fun, like for the community. So I am really excited about it. Next Thursday, it's at 8 o'clock, November 16th. And I think it's going to be epic. So really excited.
Cool. So this call, you guys, that we really want it, it's open to anyone that has ever reached the rank of executive director, or above, and maybe just with life happening or, you know, cycles of the business, whatever. Even if you're not at that rank, if you are in a position that you still want to make impact, that you want to grow, we want you to know that you are welcome. And a big reason we do this call is to recognize you, the leaders on our team. We truly believe you're the leaders, and we are in just such a unique position right now. And I want to talk a little bit about what we had talked about last week coming off the Advanced Leadership Conference. But I was reading again today, last week we talked about that Dr. A always talked about Operation Buffalo. And when you hit a hard time in life or hard season, or there's a storm coming, the theory was that cows and other animals would run from a storm, but a buffalo will run into the storm. And Optavia had, even as we were kind of going through this, unique cycle in our business, we know all businesses have cycles. We just had not experienced one in a long time. And as we were trying to figure it out, we called it Operation Buffalo. That's what the senior leadership team, the calls I was on was called Operation Buffalo. And, companies changing gears, changing direction, increasing marketing for us, doing all these things, charging to help, continue to move forward and change lives. But I loved it at the leadership conference when they said, you know what, we're kind of through that. And now it was Phoenix Rising. So I was going to pull up that definition just again, because I really feel like that we are at the core of that, especially this group. So give me 1 second. Pull it up. Let's see. Hopefully you see my screen, but the phoenix is a mythical golden bird associated with renewal and regeneration. Rising from the ashes of its previous life, the phoenix is a symbol of hope, of life, and of better things to come, born from the knowledge and experience of difficult times and challenging circumstances. And Dr. A had made a reference of saying, even at the event that we were at, and I really believe this here, he said, we have a choice right now, and you can put yourself in the boat with those of us that are rowing upstream, that we are committed to this mission. We're committed to it for ourselves, for this community, for all the lives that we have the ability to impact. And just want you guys to know that we see you, and see you as the core of this, and leading yourselves well, and leading the team well as models and examples. So we were really just curious, like after last week's conversation around all of this and the takeaways from the leaders. I know there was some real transparency when it was shared, like about Jamil Frazier's business and how stories he was telling himself, that and even tonight's call on setting goals, just really wanted to open it up and kind of see how are you feeling, and what's on your mind right now. You can raise your hand or just come off mute.
So I'll share a little bit because I just talked about a portion of this on the coach call. This Sunday I had an event, and it was mostly cottage businesses, and I was there. So they were selling items. Okay. And the expectation was based on the last 4 years attendance, was that there would be between 300 and 400 people. We had under 100. But it was really interesting because I know that in past times, if that had been the case, I would have been really down about that and just really disappointed. But I am sitting here with 3 slips of paper of people that I talked to, one of whom was very interested and said, I really need to talk to you. She was very thin. And so I just said, tell me. She said, my eating habits are horrible. I try and gain weight, so I eat French fries and eat ice cream. And I just looked at her, I said, yeah. She goes, I know, but she said, there's a downside to it too. And so, so we're going to talk. We're going to talk about it. We're going to see if I can help her focus more on her health. And the other 2 people were like, yeah, I'd like to see the newsletters, and so it's just, but I thought to myself, because I went with the expectation of 400 people, 300 to 400 people. But I didn't go home disappointed. And I had to stop and ask myself why, that was, so I learned a lot. Learned a lot about how not to set up events outside. But I mean, it was a good experience. I'm glad I took the afternoon and did that.
Well, I love that. We talked about last week with John Maxwell, and he talks about the cycles of business, right? And we go out, we try, we fail, we learn, you know what I mean? And then, it's this whole cycle. I wouldn't call that a failure at all. But what I would say is it was an unmet expectation. And you had a choice in how to respond to that, right? But instead, you're choosing to believe what you want to believe. Through that, you did make some powerful connections. And as we've always said, like, action begets action. Like, even if nothing comes from that event, the fact that you have a positive mindset moving forward, looking for opportunities, it's going to show up in your business in some ways. It just always does. Lives will be impacted.
And I'll pull some of those vendors for the coffee dreams, for the coffee and conversation that I call coffee dreams. I'll pull some of them in, as guest speakers. So it was worth it for that.
Cool. Debbie.
Hey y'all. I came off of a pretty busy week, but I've got 3 health assessments scheduled for this week, and my 40th high school reunion was Saturday, and I had a funeral this week, so I've been around a whole ton of people. But I've had also a lot of people reaching out, so like definitely just as a real organic churn on the social media along with my gratitude posts. So I'm like really encouraged about it. It's just like people are just coming up to me and asking me questions about stuff, so I just wanted to share. Sometimes it feels like a desert, but just keep going.
Love that, Debbie. Thank you for sharing. And you, just as just as a note, Debbie was the first one to send me her goals already for 2024. She already messaged them to me, and with a bold vision. And but you've been getting out a lot as your direct mentor. I have the ability to know you've just been getting out a lot and meeting a lot of people and talking to people and going to different networking events and have a really optimistic attitude. So yay, yay. All right, Rebecca.
So today I actually had I don't know if this is the third or the fourth outreach, but I actually had a colleague reach out to me, another care manager, who said she had COVID last week, and she finally said to me, she goes, I've been thinking I want to talk to you about your coaching. So I know she's been watching me for months. And I also had another person reach out to me who doesn't really even follow on Facebook, but reached out to me and messaged me in Facebook and said, "Are you really an Optavia coach?" So it's almost like I've noticed that in Maine, they're starting to understand that Optavia means like you're going to have success, because people are starting to ask me, not what are you coaching, but is this Optavia? And so one girl that I just signed up, she's the 25-year-old, she's she does my teeth. She had already heard about Optavia months ago from someone else. So I feel like there's this snowball effect that's starting to kind of, it's kind of like you're saying, the phoenix rising. So everyone who's been like headlong into the wind, don't pay attention to the storm. I feel like it's starting to happen now that people are giving in to what the reality is.
And I even hear a shift in you. I know you were hitting a little frustration of some crickets for a while, so that really shows the ability of that persistence and consistency, and continuing to show up.
In one day, I signed a new coach, she signed a client, and then I signed my own client. And that was Sunday, I think. And I can't tell, I just think it's been the cumulative effect of not letting off the gas, even though my mind was getting, a little bit story filled.
Yeah, so good. So good. How about you, Lucy? Love seeing you smile over there.
I'm smiling through the tiredness because if anybody saw my post, you know the time change has jacked me up because I've been up since 4:30. But from last week, and actually a little bit before last week, but there were two quotes that were mentioned, and I can't remember who said it, part of our team, but it was John Maxwell's quotes, and it said, if you're going to grow, you have to grow on purpose. And that really stuck out to me. And I think the other quote was actually someone quoted from Nick, who said, when you focus on what you lack, you lose what you have. But when you focus on what you have, you get what you lack. And so I've been really, I still haven't done it every day, but more so taking the time in the morning to journal. And that's been really helpful. Another thing that I've done, especially in terms of growing on purpose, is planning out in my calendar intentional time to do Bob Heilig's training. He's got this Black Friday workshop to really help with content building and creating, I should say. And I've honestly had so many more conversations in the last 2 weeks. Not all of them have been health-wise, but just conversations and building relationships. Had a health assessment, follow-ups, and there's been more activity in the last couple of weeks simply because honestly, I'm not focusing on anything other than just making sure I'm being active. And it's been refreshing because before, and with my background in sales, I'm always attaching something to an outcome. And if it doesn't fall in line to what I think it should be, then it's not a success. And it's hard for me sometimes because it's hard to change 30 years of something that you've done. But it's been so refreshing for me because I really have not been thinking about, I honestly this time have not really been thinking about what comes from it. Let me just talk to people. Let me just do the activities and see where where it goes. The hard part is going back to make sure I'm having the conversations from the different things that I put out there, because that to me can sometimes be overwhelming. Okay, where do I focus? Which post should I be focusing on? So
Yeah. That's so good. I love what you said, is to start doing things without an agenda, right? Like an expected outcome, and just doing, like, just making the connections and the conversation with
Mhm.
and just seeing where it goes. And that kind of genuine place in your soul of doing that will connect and resonate with people for sure. Cool. Emily.
Hi. I don't know if I have anything very profound to say today, but I really, really love this phoenix rising out of the ashes, because I know so many of us have been through some life changes, and it just really resonates with me a lot. And I posted today, Meg had me do one thing today, which was step on the scale, because I had avoided that for like a month. And so I stepped on the scale. And the other thing I did is I posted today. And I think sometimes when my other business gets going, sometimes this one kind of falls behind a little bit. So I'm trying to focus on both. But one of the really cool things was that I showed my kids my before and after. And I never say, like, anything about how my body looks or anything like that, just about mommy getting healthy and all that. Um, and the one thing that they said was, my little one, Charlie, said, "You look so unhappy in this one." Like, that's what he noticed, And so just trying to remind myself of that when I'm posting and when I'm talking to people. I was so unhappy. And it's just so cool to be on the other side and have changed so many things and want to share that with other people. So I'm just going to try and harness that energy of wanting to help people feel happy again.
Mm, that is powerful. Powerful. Thank you for sharing.
And Emily, that was very profound. Are you kidding me? That was incredible. It's incredible. Thank you. So Elizabeth, I know you have your hand up, and I think I know why. And so thank you for raising your hand. Talking to Elizabeth today, she's got so much energy and enthusiasm and excitement. It's just stinking fun to see. But I know you've been taking some action that's different from action that you've taken in the past, and you've seen incredible success with it. So would you share that with us?
Yeah, I will. Thanks so much for asking. Let me see. I'm going to lower my hand so I don't forget. So I've tried to be really transparent with this community, especially that since February, I've really been trying to like refocus and recenter and let down the walls and let people see me, like bumps and bruises and hair in a bun, because I've been active today. And that's hard. And the latest layer that I've been trying to grow myself through was 2 weeks ago, whenever our leadership team presented like this perspective of approaching conversations differently with social media. That really hit home with me, because I was like, okay, what can I do differently that is going to make each one of these conversations an actual conversation, and not just like, a hook on a line that I'm just tossing out there, right? And so I found that I was a little hesitant at first, and I sat down and then I just took a screenshot and sent it to Meg, because I kid you not, I sent 12 messages. I took a personal post and a business post that had gotten some response, and I started with the anyone who had loved it, either on Instagram or on Facebook, and just sent out 12 messages, right? They gave us the prompts to use. So I went between a few depending on the person and how I knew them. And within 5 minutes, I already had 9 responses from those 12 people. And that blew me away, because I was so used to casting my line and it just being crickets. And it's like, oh, okay, that's fine. just try another day. And it made me realize that I had gotten really passive in how I was contacting people and how I was communicating with them, that it almost became like my white noise filter. So when my husband was driving us as a family somewhere and I had a few minutes time, I would just pull up my messages and like correspond with people. But now I wasn't able to do that. The people who were engaging with me were so, it wasn't surface level, guys. It's like these prompts. And then when I took the time and actually crafted a response that dove deeper to what they were telling me, these were like really meaty conversations, and they were scary and they were intimidating because I realized that I had a lot more walls still to break down. And so I found that for my energy and my endurance, I had to like set a timer and give that amount of time, whether it was 5, 15, whatever. I had to set a timer and then just give really quality responses for that time, and then walk away and do something that brought me energy and come back later. And that's been fun when I put it in that bubble so that I can really give it my best. But like Lucy said, it can get kind of overwhelming when you see these responses coming in after it's been crickets for so long. Is that helpful at all? I feel like I'm rambling because it's so late.
No, that's super helpful, Elizabeth. And just, I love the fact that, and I asked you, I was like, did you buy the course? And you were like, no, I just did team time, I'm like, that was so good. So, so if you're looking for it, it is the team time that Julie Apple led. And it was awesome. So highly recommend jumping in, watching it if you haven't. And it was Julie Apple and Connie Queen, and they did an incredible job. So go back and watch it, take the action steps and do it scared. And you'll likely be having conversations like Elizabeth, which is awesome.
Can I share one more thing that made it easier for me to do the prompts? If you have an iPhone with one of the latest updates, you can screenshot those prompts that are put up there. And then in your photos, you can add them to a note, and it will allow you to select the text on that picture. So then you can just copy and paste it into your note and make it your own. Because I found that my biggest hang up was sitting there and losing the energy organically with me going, okay, how do I type this out? So the next time I approached it, before I did any communication, I did that. I copied it and I pasted it into a note and kind of made it me, and then went from that.
Brilliant. Thank you for that little tidbit. And Dee, I'm going to go off script here. I hope it's okay. But I just had something. I was on Dee's old YouTube link today, going through trying to find an old video. And this call just now has inspired me so much. I love, Rebecca, you reminded us, people are ready. Optavia equals success, right? There are people like Josh out there who are waiting and ready for us. And yet we also know, like, we're also hearing, okay, there's a season. I was remembering not too long ago, and I'm going to share my screen so you believe me. So I started coaching in 2017, but not too long ago in our team, we hit a season or whatever. And in one of our team calls, sorry, Dee, for the screen grab, it's the best, but there weren't very many people on, right? Like I wasn't on, like some of these coaches aren't around. Obviously, Debbie Pasco, Beth Bilton, and Susan still are, but I'm just curious. So we know there's cycles. If you were around, let's see, when was that? If you were a coach in 2018, would you like raise your hand through Zoom if you can? I just think that, see if we can do this. I'm not even sure if I can do it. There we go. See if you can kind of see. So in 2018, like the difference in the number of coaches, right? So like, it just shows, somebody said something that I think it was John Maxwell. And I can say this because we're amongst leaders and friends here, but he said, this is your best hour in the business because it's a pruning hour, because people are leaving. because people are leaving, right, who weren't in it, who don't have the heart or the mission or whatever, this is your best hour because people are going to know, like, you're in it. You want that transformation. You really want to like link arms and help change somebody's life. And so I have no doubt that we are coming back to a season where this Zoom call for EDs will have like 50 or 100 or however many people on it, right? One day soon. And so I just want to give you that encouragement. At some point before 28, that moment in 2018, there were a whole lot more squares on. And so just want to give you that encouragement that I had forgotten what that was like. And it was kind of fun to go back and remember that seasons do change. So just want to give you that little bit of encouragement tonight. Sorry, Dee, for going off script.
Well, I think you need to apologize for showing that clip and that bad haircut I had, but I think that's why people were fleeing the call. But no, but what a great reminder of seasons, right? So, one of my greatest fears as a leader was like, if I had a call, would anybody even show up? Like, what do I have to share, And you know what? It's been cyclical, and there's been times when it's dropped. There's been times when we've had almost 100 on a call, you know what I mean, to the cycles. But the name of the game is really endurance and perseverance. Resilience is a word I always think about with leaders, is resilience. And we're in a season, a season of resilience, right? So much of this is our perspective. I think we're all being reminded of people out there, people that need us, people that don't know about this. And I loved what Robin said on the call. And I had it in my notes to say already tonight, but was like, to denounce mediocre. It's really easy to slip into that mediocre and, forget about the past, look the part of a coach, act like a coach, be a coach, and just realize that we are the Phoenix Rising. Like, we're the coaches that are in the boat, that are rowing. And we're just so stinking proud of you, like so proud of you, with a time change, showing up at 8:30 at night. So we're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for participating so actively and in all that you shared tonight. And we'll see you in the Facebook group this week, and just have a good rest of the evening. Bye, you guys. Love you.